Hello and welcome to this interview on Property Matters. Today we're talking to David Hill-Souch from Gemco Contracts, and Gemco Contracts is a London-based office fit-out specialist company offering design, construction, consulting and furnishing services with before, during and after care. David, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Steve.
Fantastic. Now, you are Gemco's Director of Inspiration. What exactly is a Director of Inspiration?
Well, it's a nice, unique introduction to who I am and what I offer for the company. I was brought on board just over a year ago, taken on as a business development manager, fully appreciating that a lot of companies position. And I really wanted to make a very brave move into the world on why people would want to meet me. So I did a bit of research and looked at alternative branding names for myself, and Director of Inspiration was born. I use it because I think it's a great way of saying who I am. I am quite an inspirational person, not just purely from a Gemco perspective. I think for others, connecting other people, and really with the enthusiasm and gusto that I give into my day-to-day activity. So Gemco's Director of Inspiration, I am.
I think it's very fitting, having recently met you for the first time, 2 weeks ago, and subsequently seen via LinkedIn that you are everywhere. I don't think there's a networking event or an evening that you haven't been busy hobnobbing and rubbing shoulders. It's phenomenal. And everywhere you go, everybody seems to either know you or want to know you. And it's lovely. It's refreshing to sort of know that I've met a celebrity in the London social scene.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. I mean, I've worked within design and build for some 15 years now. Made a little bit of a change in my role and I jumped over to furniture, and I know a lot of people, and it's been a really brilliant opportunity for me to get to know yet even more people as I go along, you know, the day-to-day activity of what I do. You're right, I am a very busy man. I try to attend as much as I can. I get a lot of invitations. I think people realize that I don't do it purely based just what I can get out of it. I think it's quite missed opportunity that we fail to mention others who are helping you along your day-to-day processes, and nehave do I ever fail to forget that. I'm always so super excited and thrilled to be anywhere, and yeah, I seem to have built myself up a little bit of an entourage, and people either talk to me and say, you're the guy off LinkedIn, or, you know, you're so well dressed. And I just think, well, that's a really nice thing for me to have in my pocket as I go through my day-to-day activities. So thank you.
Well, there's a saying that your network is your net worth. And if that is the truth, you're one of the richest men I've ever met.
Oh, bless you. I wish that was the case.
But, hey, you never heard of... Say again?
You never know what the future holds. So I'm very pleased and very proud of myself for what I've achieved in such a short space of time, certainly with Gemco, but thanks.
Well, and as you should be. For anybody looking in at this podcast or video channel and wants to know what exactly is a commercial office fit-out company, just explain to me in layman's terms what Gemco does.
Yeah, so what we do, so if there is a company out there and they're considering maybe looking at their own space and how that works for them, maybe they don't need to necessarily move into another office space. They might just not be making the best use of what space that they've got. So we have two phenomenal in-house designers, Mia and Rosa, and they can have a look at plans, you know, squares of what they're working in, maybe due to numbers of staff that are working in the building, you know, depending on which days that they work, because of course everything's changed now because of Corona, and people get the luxury of working at home. So sometimes offices don't need to have as much space, some perhaps need more, because there's the flip side to it always, that there are people out there are companies out there that really have and need staff activity on a day-to-day basis. So we would therefore take a an outside view really of what their desired requirements are, how they want to work, you know, really try and get under the skin of what their company is all about, their branding and their ethos, and really make some informative decisions on whether we might be able to do something with an existing space. It might be rents where they have to move, so we can kind of help them also, you know, with my reach as well, people, agents that might be able to find them space, and really get it right for them, because it can be a vast amount of money. You know, it's an investment company as well. Yes, that's really what, in a nutshell, what we do. So either a relocation, refurbishment, you know, and really making any space, whatever, regardless of what category it is, to Cat A to Cat B, making it actually a really brilliant working environment.
Okay, so it's not just interior design, it goes a lot much further. So what services does Gemco offer in its whole bouquet of services?
Yeah, so as a contractor, we appoint like a site manager that would run the actual day-to-day, you know, one point throughout, you know, and then obviously keep daily informed for clients of, you know, how things are progressing, you know, where we're at, meet a timeline. So like if they give us like 8 to 10 weeks to complete it in, you know, they know exactly where we're at. We have like almost a layman's term, this tick list of where we need to be at a certain point of that project. And yeah, so we have the reach on a day-to-day basis for someone to check in with us, find out what's going on, handhold throughout the entire process, because as I always like to say, people are investing money, they really want reliability, and ensure that they're going to get a great result at the end of it. And Gemco's offered that with, you know, returning work, which is truly fantastic. We've just recently completed a project out on Fulham Road where we did 2 floors, and the client was so delighted with what we delivered that they've come back to us and asked us to refurbish another floor for them. So
brilliant, that's great news. Well done.
but you're right, and I'm sorry, I evaded a little bit of the question there for you. So what is it that we do? So it's everything from the lighting would look into the mechanical, electrical of the property, flooring, windows, you know, partition walling, loos. So pretty much everything that your kind of considerations would be. I mean, I've noticed more and more since my return into industry, there's so much more as well, because of course where we head in the world, so like prayer rooms, you know, that's not something that maybe an office might have investigated previously, but you know, it's something that I'm noticing more and more of. You know, there's a new thing out there at the moment where it's community toilets rather than having separate male female toilets, you know, to offer more space. You know, I'm not saying how every woman feels about that sharing with men, but you know, it's something, again, practicalities, datacom rooms, you know, everything really. We look at every single part of what an office environment needs to be addressed.
Aside from prayer rooms, I guess also breastfeeding is a thing, or a childcare service as well. Some offices want to have that.
Yeah, I've noticed again also, through the last year, creches, you know, bringing your dog into work. Even I have a dog. I mean, it is an opportunity for me to bring mine, you know, and it's quite unusual now. It's not not an unusual thing to see somebody walking around town in between meetings with their dog.
Great. So just clarify for me, what's the difference between a fit out and a refurbishment?
Well, refurbishment and fit out kind of do fall under the same roof, I would say, really. But a refurbishment might be lighter scopes. You know, it could be just really lick of paint, changing something and making it look a little bit brighter, fresher. But then there's the levels that a full refurbishment could, you know, involve looking, like I said earlier, space of what you've currently got, how that could work and utilized better for you.
Okay.
Movement of, you know, it comes down to like movement of T points and, you know, where these are situated, how the flow of the office looks, how that's going to encourage work. So yeah,
so refurbishment is
say,
just one part of fit out. Fit out then goes further with furnishings and the like.
It goes on to dependent on what the client requires from it. You know, we tailor it, you know, look at budgets, because of course that's something really that needs to be considered. And yes, from there, you know, health and safety is.
Okay, health and safety obviously has to be a big factor nowadays. What's the biggest challenge that the fit-out market is currently facing? What is Gemco doing to overcome that?
I think I've been to a number of seminars recently. I think there's implored now that we're looking for net zero by 2030. So I think that is something that a lot of offices now are having to look into, and we're all encouraged to, use public transport over cars, getting into work, cycling into work, walking, and all of this. So I think there is that in the background of everything that a lot of people are considering. I think also because we've just come out of COVID, so the encouragement of getting people actually back into the office, so I think it leaves a lot of company owners deciding what it is they do need from this, because of course as we move forward, a lot of people may show a bit of resilience, because let's face it, we can all be equally as effective at home. Well, some of us, I'm guessing there are people out there that might not be. I mean, it's a luxury to be able to go and turn your washing machine on in between and get things ready in the background. But certainly for me, I work I would say a 3-day solid working week in London, and then 2 days work from home scenario, so I can administer and really focus on some of the emails that I get in, some of the kind invitations that I'm offered. So, I only have to look at myself to see how that works. And I have a desk in my office, and I recently won least used office chair. so I kindly gave my desk away this week because we've had a couple of new employees to the company. So
that's funny. But yeah, a business development manager or a director of inspiration in your case, who is sitting at their desk too much, isn't doing their job, in my opinion. Is there one specific job that rings for yourself personally that you're most proud of that Gemco has completed?
I think it'd be fair to say two do point out, probably. One being Natilic, what was designed by a designer, Mia Howard. What was most unique and what sticks out about it, having witnessed it, I wasn't part of Gemco when that was done, but coming in to see it, was a really beautiful office in Devonshire Square. And for me, it just really stands out. It was just the attention to detail of the period age of the property, that they still maintain to keep that and keep that to the forefront, but all new items that were added. And they've got a main reception which transforms into a bar.
Oh, nice. And very nice.
It wouldn't be one of not that it's one of the biggest projects that we've done, but I just think the complexity of it and the work that was put into it is just beyond. And yeah, I'm always happy to take people to go and see it as well. So very proud of that one.
Those little
and then in addition to that one, we're currently on site in Noble Street, number 3 Noble Street. I can't tell you who it is because I don't know if it's NDA, but it was one that I brought into the company, and it was quite a nice one because the value of it, the size, the scope of works. So I think it's probably just a proudness that I've managed to achieve that in such a short space of time.
What's one thing your business did that you wouldn't have expected when you first started there at Gemco?
I think it's a number of things. I mean, I consider myself a really lucky guy in what I do. I naturally love my job, and I think that shows, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why you kindly said you're popular. I live for a Monday. I don't really switch off over a weekend. I still will text people that I now consider my friends in industry, but what I love, what Gemco offered me, was total autonomy of being who I am, the opportunity to not have, I think some companies have lots of targets, and I think that can go against it. I think it's a good thing. I think mentally I've got those in my head, but I think when they're being pressed on you from above, I think you don't achieve. I think you start worrying about the target rather than worrying about your main principal focus, which for me is to obviously introduce people and let them know, brand ambassador Gemco, and say, look, please speak to us. We're doing some amazing things here. So yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is I'm quite shocked at how much the company has hugged me and let me get on and do what DHS does best and talk.
Absolutely. The DHS brand in itself is amazing.
Yeah, it's not.
What are 2 questions that you don't get asked by clients or prospective clients that you really wish that they would ask regarding either the company or your services it provides?
For me, I mean, because I don't deal, if I'm totally honest with you, I don't deal with maybe the client directly. Yes, I will always be present, and I am kind of like the baton passer, that I pass the information across for people that ask it. I mean, some of the questions that I sometimes fail to ask myself is really just size and scope of project, of what they're looking for. I mean, Gemco is a boutique. We're 5 years old this year. So we're not against one of the larger companies that offer similar services to us, but we are growing, so we have capacity to do it. But I just like to make it clear always that we are predominantly and most favoured in commercial world, rather than, because a lot of people come to me and say, oh, could you do a residential project, or can you do retail? And whilst we have touched and we have reached to do it, it's not what we're best known for. I think offices really something that, you know, people need to understand, that that's where our focus is, main drive and driven in London.
Okay.
But yeah.
And the question that I always like to ask in my interviews is, what one question do you wish I would have asked you so far that you would like to answer?
How many hours maybe do I manage to fit into my day?
Yeah, a 90-hour week in your case.
And I really actually don't even have the answer for that myself. I think there's I think one thing, if I could share information for any company that you want a really quality business development manager's director of inspiration, is just not to expect too much. I think there's the worry of burnout. I think yesterday I kind of came very close to it, having 4 hours sleep in between my day of doing things. I think sometimes I have to self-remind myself, Steve, to chill. I always get so upset with myself for even taking 10 minutes, but I think it's really important just to breathe for 5 minutes and consider who you've met, you know, who you need to talk to, and how you address these things, because I don't like disappointing people when they want to meet me.
It's tough being so well liked and popular in all these networking events. It must be tough. It looks tough. I wouldn't know. It looks tough.
It's like, I really appreciate, and I love the fact that everybody likes to want to be able to speak to me, and I'm so flattered by it. I mean, I don't have the answers to everything as well, and I always like to make that very clear. And I think one of the main probably reasons, I don't like saying popular because it's almost like bragging myself, but I clearly am doing something right in industry, and I think it's genuinely because I don't have all the answers, and I'm quite honest with my intention, that people really like that about me. Because I think too many nod and say, yes, I understand, whereas I'm quite happy to say, I understand that, you know. And you know, and of course people genuinely think, because they work in it every day, that I must think exactly like they do, and it just goes to prove no two people are the same, Steve. So I'm yeah, I'm pretty flattered and humbled by my experience, and you've witnessed it's quite hard to try and work a room when so many people are queuing next to you wanting to talk to you. So
you should actually start charging cover charge for people who want to start speaking to you. It's amazing.
I know, well,
but that's just testament to your nature.
Oh yeah, it's good. But I just think it's purely because I do love my job that much that it works for me. So
brilliant. Lovely. Well, I appreciate you being part of the show. Sorry. Really, I'm grateful for your time, and it's been lovely to spend time learning more about Gemco and sharing that with the audience. But thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Steve, for having invited me today.
All the best.
Thank you. Take care.